A mother wants to invest $13,000 for her children's education. She invests a portion of the money in a bank certificate of deposit which earns 4% and the remainder in a savings bond that earns 7%. If the total interest earned after 1 year is $780, how much money was invested at each rate? Notice first of all that there are two unknown quantities in this problem. The first unknown quantity is how much money was invested in the CD account. The second unknown quantity is how much money was invested in savings bonds. So what we'll do is we'll assign a variable to each of these unknown quantities. Let's use the letter X to represent the amount of money invested in the CD account, and Y will represent the amount of money invested in savings bonds. So what we'll try to do is to set up a system of two equations in these two unknowns in order to solve the problem. The first sentence says a mother wants to invest a total of $13,000 for her children's education. Part of that is going to be in the CD account and the rest of it will be in savings bonds. So this leads us to the equation X plus Y is equal to 13,000. X, the amount of money invested in the CD account, plus Y, the amount of money invested in savings bonds, must be equal to the total amount that's invested, which is $13,000. The second sentence that we'll focus in on is the one that tells us that the total interest earned after 1 year is $780. Okay, so how much interest is earned on each of the two accounts? Well, what we need to recall is that interest is equal to principal, which is the amount invested, multiplied by rate, expressed as a decimal, times time, where time is the amount of time in years. So if we want to find out what was the interest earned on the CD, it will be the principal, which is X, times the interest rate, 4%, expressed as a decimal, so that will be 0.04, and then times the amount of time, and it says that the total interest after 1 year is $780, so the time is 1 year. When we multiply X by 0.04 times 1, we get 0.04 multiplied by X. So the interest on the CD is 0.04x. Okay, similarly, the interest earned from savings bonds is equal to the principal, which is Y, times the interest rate, 7%, expressed as a decimal, times the amount of time, which is 1 year. So the interest on bonds is 0.07 multiplied by Y. Well, when we add the interest from the CD account to the interest in savings bonds, we know that the total has to be $780. So that leads us to the equation 0.04x plus 0.07y is equal to 780. So what we've done is we've just created a system of two equations in the two unknowns, and now we can use one of our different methods for solving this system. So some people might choose substitution, others elimination, others graphing. I noticed that the coefficient of both x and y is 1 in the first equation, so I'm going to go ahead and use the method of substitution. I'm going to go ahead and solve the first equation for y and then substitute that expression into the second equation. So using the method of substitution, I'm first of all going to rewrite the first equation. So if x plus y is equal to 13,000, that means that y is equal to 13,000 minus x. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to take 13,000 minus x and substitute that for y in the second equation. So we get 0.04x plus 0.07, and instead of y we'll put 13,000 minus x in its place, and then that's equal to 780. Now we've got a single equation and x is the variable, so we'll solve this equation for x. Okay, first of all, distribute the multiplication by 0.07. So I'm using a calculator here. 0.07 times 13,000 is equal to 910. And 0.07 times x is 0.07x. And that's equal to 780. Now on the left-hand side, we can combine the like x terms. 0.04 minus 0.07 is minus 0.03. So we get minus 0.03x plus 910 is equal to 780. Now we can take away 910 from both sides, and that gives us minus 0.03x is equal to 780 minus 910 is equal to negative 130. And then finally divide both sides by negative 0.03. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 0.03. I'm going to use a calculator to do the division. Divide negative 130 by negative 0.03. And that comes out to be $4,333.33 to the nearest cent. So x is equal to $4,333.33 to the nearest cent. In order to determine y, we take this value of x and we substitute it for x in the equation. Y is equal to 13,000 minus x. So to get our y, we have y is equal to 13,000 minus x, but our x value is 4,333.33, and 13,000 minus 4,333.33 is equal to 8,666.67. So how much money was invested in the CD account? Well, that's the X amount. That's $4,333.33, rounded to the nearest cent. And how much was invested in savings account and savings bonds? $8,666.67 to the nearest cent.